Okay, today I have a 2021 Toyota 4Runner customer just bought. Why do they cost so much? It was like 36 grand for a used one. I'll tell you why, and you might be shocked. Everyone knows 4Runners can last a long time, but it's more than that. This 2021 Toyota 4Runner, the 4Runners today are probably the best vehicle that Toyota makes. Open the door. Number one, it's made in Japan. The number starts with J. That means Japan. It says made in Japan, right? I don't care what anyone says. A Toyota made in Japan is better than the made anywhere else on the planet. Hands down. The Japanese are fanatics about building their cars, and they still make these in Japan. And under the hood is the other reason they're the best car that Toyota still makes. It's a 4-liter V6 engine. Okay, we'll take off the stupid beauty cover. Toyota's been making these 4-liter V6s for a long time, and they have them down pat. No timing belt, they got timing chains. And does this thing have twin turbos? No. It doesn't have any turbos at all. And you know what that means? That means the thing's gonna last a lot longer. Take the 2023s. Same engine, same everything, right? Sometimes Toyota makes mistakes. In this case, they didn't make a mistake because they left it alone. Take my son's late model Toyota Tacoma TRD. It comes with a V6 engine. He loves it. He tows his boat and everything, right? Guess what? After next year, they're not going to put V6s in these. They're going to put in stinking 4-cylinder turbos. They won't last as long. They won't be that good for towing boats. That's why he bought one of the last Tacomas that's going to come with a V6 engine, right? And I said, well, you put a 4-cylinder turbo, it's still got horsepower. It's different. You're pulling a boat in and out. You're just not going very fast, right? You're not going to have the power that you'll have with a regular V6 engine. And this 4Runner has a regular V6 engine. It can tow 5,000 pounds, plenty enough for pulling your boats and stuff around, right? And just like my son's Tacoma TRD 4x4, this is a 4x4 too. It's not an all-wheel drive. You can go 2-wheel high, you can go 4-wheel high, you can go low 4-wheel drive. All electronically. So, unlike the all-wheel drive systems where you have to buy all 4 tires, if you get one tire bad, it will screw the all-wheel drive system. This is a 4-wheel drive system, just like my son's Tacoma. If you blow out a rear wheel, you can replace 2 rear wheels. You don't have to change all 4. The big annoyance, and it's an expensive one, if you got to buy 4 tires every time a tire goes bad. Now, when it was new, this thing listed for like $45,000, right? She had to pay like $36,000 used. And as you can see inside, it's got 45,603 miles, which of course is practically nothing mileage-wise. I've seen these things with 500,000 miles and they still ran fine. They had a few problems with some of these. Some, when you started it up, the engine sounded like a diesel. So let's check this baby out. No, it doesn't sound like a diesel. This one didn't have a problem. But let's say you're looking at a used one, okay? Make sure the car's been sitting 2 or 3 hours. Start it up. If you're clanging away, don't buy it. It means there's a problem inside the engine. They didn't all do that, but a few of them did. So you're gonna listen to that if you're looking at one of these used. Now, as we look inside, it's a comfy vehicle. No sunroof. Hey, it's a real truck. I don't care about sunroofs. I find them stupid anyways. Tons of room in the back seat and a lot of space in the back. Lo and behold, it may technically be an SUV, but check it out. It's a full frame vehicle. The body bolts onto the frame. This isn't some half-assed unibody construction. It is body on frame. That's one of the reasons these things can last forever. And are they gas hogs? Of course they're gas hogs. All big vehicles are gas hogs. Hey, the other day a guy brought me a brand new Toyota Tundra V6 twin turbo hybrid, right? He got 19 miles a gallon, that thing. They put in twin turbos. They put in a hybrid drive system. It still only got 19 miles a gallon. Now this thing gets a combined 17, right? That's 2 miles less, but on a highway it gets 19 miles a gallon. The guy who brought the V6 twin turbo, brand new 2023 Toyota Tundra hybrid got 19 on a highway. The same that this gets. You get a big vehicle, it's going to get bad gas mileage. That's life. You don't want to get bad gas mileage, don't buy a big, heavy vehicle. But then, of course, the question arises, do you want a car like this that might last 400,000 or 500,000 miles or more? Or do you want to buy a new car every 8 or 9 years for 40, 50 grand that gets a little bit better gas mileage? $40,000 buys an awful lot of gasoline, people. Let's face the facts. Now, of course, you never know what kind of shape something's in till we hook up the giant scan tool. Came up quick, knows what it is. It's Toyota. We're going to do standalone. I don't need to record it. And here we go. It's turned itself on. It already read the VIN number. Now it's decoding it. Knows it's 4Runner North America 2021 GRE. Smart key. Yes, it is a smart key. And here we go. For a late model Toyota 2021, it's got 4 trouble codes, okay? We'll start with this. Driver door motor, well, it's a bunch of crap we probably won't care about, but we'll look at the trouble code. What does it say? Master switch on driver's side door. Well, we don't care about that. Who knows? Something might have gone glitchy on it, so we'll erase the code. So we got to turn it off. Turn it back on, okay. Then we'll go back to read the other ones. ABS system has a code. Let's see what the code is, trouble code. Or low power supply voltage. Well, the battery's been replaced, so somebody probably didn't reset it. So we'll erase the code. Somebody replaced the battery, and that meant low voltage because the battery was low, but they don't reset any of the codes. This is normal on many cars, especially when they sit on a lot for a while. The batteries go flat. A little odder. The ECM has 2 codes. These trouble codes are engine stall startability. These are also codes that you see all the time. If you had a low battery, not enough power, the engine stalls out and it won't start right and it'll get the startability. These codes you see in many cars that sit on a lot. They should have reset all these codes when they sold the car, but you know, the people at the places, they really don't care. Most of them are idiots. We'll erase those. I'm sure they won't come back when we drive them. I'll erase. They're not hard codes. If they're hard codes, they wouldn't erase. They'd still be there. So let's look at live data. All right, engine and transmission. Okay, we're going to look at live data, and away we go. There's going to be all kinds of information on this baby. Everything's black. It's relatively normal. Battery voltage, 13.066. It's just idling. That's fine. Now we can see the short-term and the long-term fuel term is 0. That is perfect. You can't get any better than that. This is 0 across the board. And as you can see, it's not moving either. It's not like I hit one screen and got lucky. None of them are moving at all. The catalytic converter temperatures are the same. They're fine. Both sides are equal, meaning the engine's running perfectly balanced. Check it out. It even shows you the engine exhaust flow rate. There's so much information on these things. So let's take it on a road test. As predicted, it didn't have anything except goofball codes that probably because the battery got low at one point in time has been replaced and nobody reset it. It's high up in the air because it is pretty much a truck frame. You can see it's got a nice wide view backup camera that's very crisp. I like it. Here we go and check it out. It has a real parking brake. There it is. Not some electronic baloney. An actual cable that will work and last forever. Automatic transmission, you can either do automatic or you can shift it yourself. Okay, we'll go down to first gear, give it a little more oomph. Let's see how it goes into second. Shifts pretty fast, second, third, you don't feel anything. You can shift it yourself or you can just leave it in drive and have it shift itself. Handles pretty good for a big old truck. Not as big as these things are, but hey, they're a little bit too big if you ask me. It's a pretty big heavy vehicle, and with this naturally aspirated V6 that has 276 horsepower, it's not a race vehicle because of its weight. It goes perfectly fine, get you anywhere you're going, cruise the highway 80 all day long if you want, but it's not a race truck. It's not made for that. We'll see if it makes a liar of me or not on our little drag strip. Here we go, and I look in the rear view mirror. Nobody's coming, so we can stop. On your mark, get set, go! I mean, it throws you back in the seat a little. Shift smooth. It's got plenty enough pickup. Like I say, it'll cruise all day long at 80, 85. It's not a race truck. I mean, look, we're going 50 and we'll floor it. And you see it starts climbing up. Nothing spectacular, but it's got plenty enough power for anything you're gonna need in a big SUV like this. After all, it's a full steel frame, weighs a lot, heavier vehicle. But on the other hand, it's gonna last forever if you take care of it. No stinking turbo to wear it out faster, much simpler vehicle, and it can just run and run and run. But it does have the modern look, lane departure. Oh, I've been a bad boy, I went over the lane. Right, so it's got bells and whistles of modern vehicles too. So indeed, if you don't mind bad gas mileage, this is probably the best vehicle that Toyota makes all around. No CVT transmission, it's a real automatics. You can go 4-wheel drive. I hate that beeping though, it annoys me. I would disconnect it. This woman lives on a long dirt road out in the country, up in the hills where there's lots of trees. The trees don't ever melt, the snow and ice in the winter, so she really needs the four-wheel drive system when she has to have it. When she doesn't, she can just put it in two-wheel drive high. For smooth idle, corner's perfectly fine for a big old framed vehicle. You feel totally secure in one of these things. Except for me, because I keep going over the line. That would drive me insane. They're expensive, the 4Runners, but they can run forever. Yeah, they're gas hogs, big deal. Everything big is a gas hog. That's why these things cost so much money, because they can last so long. They're well built. Truthfully, it's probably the best vehicle that Toyota still makes to this day. Here's a 2004 Highlander. You're going to understand why people buy these things. The guy bought it years ago for $4,900. He's put almost 100,000 miles on it. Now, in all those years, he had to do some work, but it really isn't the vehicle's fault. The fault is he lives in Massachusetts. So, control arms would rust off, brakes, suspension parts, because of all the stinking salt they use on the road in the winter. It's going to eat them up. Now, interestingly enough, the body doesn't rot away because it was all done correctly by Toyota. When they made these things, even this older one, they put them in zinc-based primer, electrostatically charged. The bodies, they don't rot away. They're fine. It's all the ancillary stuff, like control arms that are made out of steel, brake rotors that are made out of steel. Everything that's made out of steel, of course, is going to rust. That's the one advantage of a real top-end car like an Audi. Their control arms and stuff are made out of fancy aluminum. Aluminum doesn't rust, so they will last longer in a corrosive environment. You're going to find that all the steel parts will eventually rust. So, whoop-de-doo. The last 3 years, he said he probably spent a couple of grand having stuff done. You think about what he paid, you know, 4 grand. You got over 100,000 miles. We're going to check it out, make sure it's still going. I'm sure it is, but the computer will tell us the truth about that. Now, as we look under the hood, you see all the bugs. They got a lot of bugs here, too, and they eat up your paint. V6 engine, Toyota's electronic variable valve timing, which works great. But it's a 3.3 liter engine with a rubber timing belt. I did recently have a timing belt and the water pump changed, which is a good idea because, lo and behold, this is one of the few engines Toyota ever made that's an interference engine. The 3 liters weren't, the 3.5 liters weren't, but the 3.3 liters were. Who knows what they were thinking about? They don't make them like this anymore. The only company that I have a beef with is Honda today, because Honda's still making V6 engines with timing belts that are interference engines. Everyone else has timing chains, but no. They got some weird idea. I guess they don't want to spend the money swapping their productions over, but these are very good engines. Change the timing belt every 100,000 miles or so, and you're not going to have any problems. But I do have to tell you the truth. Okay, I've been working on cars for 55 years, and I started working on Toyotas in the early 1970s. You know how many broken timing belts I've seen on these V6 engines? None! And I've seen people with 350,000 miles with still the original timing belt. They're made that well, but if you're not a riverboat gambler, you might as well change the belt and the water pump every once in a while just to make sure bad things don't happen to you. But they are that well made. Okay, it's a Toyota. It's running smooth. I can hear the fan belt making a little bit of noise. Who cares? It's been raining. It's wet, right? Original AC compressor, it still works. The alternator's original. Most of the parts are still original, you know? And since it's made in Japan, you know the quality is good. Now the seats are starting to fray from age. This is a work vehicle. You can see lots of stains from work-related things. But when you pop the seats back, hey, there's all kinds of room for storing stuff. Now it's got 214,000 miles on it. It's all-wheel drive. Does the system work? Of course it still works. It's a Toyota. They make good all-wheel drive systems. Now, personally, I'm not a fan because I don't like the extra expense and the worse gas mileage, but he lives in Massachusetts. A lot of people like it for getting around in the snow. Now, he uses all-season tires, and he said with the all-season tires and the all-wheel drive, it's fine. He doesn't bother putting snow tires on. You get a lot more grip with all-season tires, all-wheel drive, than you will just all-season tires. That's just common sense. Most people, if they have just two-wheel drive, they'll put snow tires on the drive wheels, right? But in this case, he just keeps the all-season tires on. You don't have any problem driving around Massachusetts in the winter. So we get out the brand new Autel scan tool. It's all plugged in. We'll diagnose it. It's loading itself. Read the VIN. We'll do a fault scan. Go through the whole system. It's an old car, so it's going to take a little while. So we'll look around. The steering wheel's still in good shape. Windows, everything works. Heat, AC works. Look, it's still got the original Toyota with a CD player and a tape deck. And they still work. Because it's sunroof, but it's raining. As you can see, lots of lights are on, so we're probably going to get a bunch of codes, even though it's still running pretty good. And you can see there's quite a few codes, so let's start up here. Now while we're waiting for the scan, it's slow because it's an old vehicle. It's a 2004. These armrests always wear out, that's typical. You can see it's a work vehicle. It's been to Hades and back, but it's still going. And since all these lights are on, I expect some codes. So far, there's 14 codes. You can see he's got the old radio, but he's also put in a Sirius XM so he can listen to music he wants to listen to and not be limited to old tapes or CDs or even older an AM FM radio. Be patient with these old vehicles. It's been a few minutes and now it's 63% done. These old cars had much slower computers, so interfacing with them does take more time. Now we're up to 72. We're getting there. Cadillac inefficiency, bank 1, bank 2, bank 1, bank 2. So the catalytic converter is not working all that well. The ABS system, the right front speed sensor circuit, the left front speed sensor circuit, the right rear circuit, the left rear circuit, and the ABS control system. So the ABS system, it's messed up, as is the airbag system and the sliding roof communication stuff. Well, it's closed, so we don't care. So we'll check this CAT code out here. And the machine itself gives you a big explanation of the codes, tells you how well the system all works, and tells you that the trouble areas are the catalytic converter and the front exhaust pipe, gas leakage, airflow sensor, oxygen sensors. There's lots of things it could be. So let's start it up. Look at the engine ECT data. Now, as I look at the live data, I can see the oxygen sensors are working. The vehicle's running in closed loop. It's not open loop, so those systems are working. Now, if the customer wanted me to, with that nice Autel machine, I can start doing tests. It shows what part to test, how to test the wiring, how to test the cats. It's got a freeze frame oscilloscope. It's got a wave generator. So you can figure it out. And it has the information on it to figure it out. But in this case, the guy doesn't give a crap. You know why? Because it's running perfectly fine and it's older than 15 years. And in Massachusetts, when they're older than 15, they don't do emissions testing anymore. It runs perfectly fine, as I was telling him. I had a customer in Houston with the same exact vehicle, even the same color. How bizarre was written. And his check engine light kept coming on. And it was for inefficient catalytic converter. So for 4 years, he'd bring it to me, I'd reset it and get it so he could get it inspected, because at the time, it wasn't 25 years old, right? I'd reset it, get it to go good enough that he could pass it for the emissions. Well, after driving it 4 years the way it ran fine, and the light kept coming back on for him, he came the 5th year. And he said, you gotta set it so I can get my car inspected. I plugged in the machine, the code was gone. This is 5 years. He did no repairs to the car. He just switched from one Exxon station to they opened a Shell station closer to his house, and he was lazy as could be, so he went to the closest gas station, and that better gas burnt more efficiently because that code means the catalytic converter isn't working at 100%. Sometimes as little as 94% efficiency, it'll trip that code. But if you live where you got to get it inspected, yeah, on these things, they build the catalytic converters into the exhaust manifold. It's a V6, there's one on each side. Since they're both reading bad, you're talking about big money, and since it runs fine, does anybody really care? No. And as for the ABS, well, the sensors aren't working, and the modulator itself. Now, it could be the modulator and the sensors, or just the modulator, and then it trips the sensors because it's messed up and it thinks the sensors are wrong. But it doesn't really matter, because on these, the ABS system is called fail-safe. When the ABS stops working, you get to normal, non-ABS braking. If he slams the brakes on now real hard, he can lock the wheels up. So if he knows how to drive, he won't get into trouble. The modern cars, the real modern cars, they have it tied in with vehicle stability, all kinds of control stuff, and it creates a mess when they break down. But an older one like this, hey, you still feel like you're braking okay. It's just you don't have anti-lock brakes, so you got to understand. If you got to stop fast and it's wet outside, you'll have to pump the brake. So you see the ABS light, and a guy like me says, well, you want to spend thousands of dollars possibly for a new modulator and all this work? Or if you're happy with the way it goes, drive it without ABS brakes. Got this modulator assembly here and the labor to change it out. You probably do like him and just drive the thing around. I'll take it for a little ride. We got to look in this case And we're looking. You can see around these, there's no blind spots. Now it's a Highlander, so it is relatively high. You got it. So we can go over the little bump here, not have to worry about things dragging. And yeah, it's old, but hey, it still goes down the road. Sure, the tire pressure monitoring system doesn't work, the ABS system doesn't work, the vehicle speed control doesn't work, the airbag doesn't work, and the check engine light is on, but it still goes down the road. Conditioning still works. Well, we got clearance to the right, but no clearance to the left. All right, we have an opening. Here we go. We'll floor it. Now that V6 engine sounds great, still shifts like a dream, even with 214,000 miles on it. And truthfully, it is a blessing that it's over 15 years old, because now he doesn't have to do the emissions testing, so he doesn't have to fix all these stupid lights that are shining and flashing. Still rides pretty good, corners pretty good, makes a nice work truck. You can see he works the heck out of it. You're high enough up in the air that you can see where you're going, and being all-wheel drive, hey, doesn't get stuck in the snow, and he's only using all-season tires. Yeah, it's got 214, but I mean, I've seen these things with 514,000 miles on it. Yeah, they might shake, rattle a little. Maybe a couple speeds of the fan on the blower for the AC don't work anymore, but hey, they're still going down the road and they're still blowing cold. So here we got an old 04, and yeah, the bugs have eaten the paint up. They're very acidic bugs here on the East Coast. I don't know where it is. And yeah, lights are flashing. It still runs perfectly fine. It just goes to prove that PL430 codes for inefficient catalytic converters, often they don't affect the running of the car one iota. If your catalytic converters were actually bad, what happens is they clog up, and then your temperature gauge will start running towards the hot, and when they get bad enough, you'll only be able to go a certain speed. Like it'll go 50 miles an hour and no faster, and when it's really clogged, it'll go like 10 miles an hour. But that's not the case with this. You can see it's still, the engine runs like a sewing machine. The transmission still shifts good. So these old things, hey, let's just say they don't make them like they used to. So why not stick to the old stuff as long as you can? Yes, this guy from Green Bay recently bought a used Toyota Tundra for only $4,000, and what a deal. It only had 89,000 miles on it, so you know the thing's in excellent shape, right? A guy in Green Bay had a bunch of stuff, and he had to get rid of one of his vehicles because the city was saying, we're gonna take them away if you don't clean that mess up. So he sold this. I think the guy made a mistake. I would have sold something else. Body's in excellent shape, and check this out. This guy knows what he's doing. It didn't come with a camper top. He went to Facebook Marketplace, and believe it or not, Wisconsin, people up there are friendly. He got it for nothing. The guy had it lying around. It was his son's, who was just sitting there, and he gave it to him. What a deal. But the deals go on in this truck. A bunch of these Toyota trucks had problems with the frames rusting, right? Sometimes Toyota, yes, sometimes no, but in this case, he got a free frame. They said, if you're in a northern state, and you can't get much more northern than Wisconsin, they're gonna replace the frame free. So, as we look under, check it out. Look at this beautiful frame. It is brand spanking new. They did it, and they didn't charge him a penny. Look at that. That job with the frame would have cost a heck of a lot more money than he paid for the whole truck. He recently took it into a garage to get some stuff done. Guy told him, well, you got a $12,000 truck now that he paid $4,000 for. Still deals out there. If you look around, he looked around. This guy had all these vehicles. He had to get rid of one. When people have to get rid of something, that's when you want to buy. He didn't get rid of it because it was falling apart. It runs perfectly fine. He got rid of it because he had too many vehicles, and he had to get rid of one of them. Now, of course, you're never going to deal like this at a car lot or anything. I mean, they're looking for vehicles like this, then they're going to try to sell it to you for $12,000. If it had a new frame on it, that is the one problem with these. You got to watch out. Frames do rot. And if you remember, last year I made a video with a guy who was from Indiana, and they refused to do his frame even though it was rotting. Now, I don't know, I guess they're not including Indiana as a northern state. It is kind of, you know, in between. I guess technically they could call it Midwestern, right? And they refused to put his frame on, yet this guy just bought this thing, and Toyota put the frame on him. No questions asked. So, you know, you never know what's going on. Obviously, the guys in Wisconsin have dealt with a lot more than the guys in Indiana, or vice versa. The guys in Indiana are told, oh, we can't do any more frames, so they don't do anymore. because he had it done in Wisconsin. So kudos to Toyota for treating him right. Guy in Indiana, not so much. He's not happy. He's still mad as a hornet, and I don't blame him. Maybe he should move to Wisconsin and try it there. Of course, they know who he is now, and I doubt if they'll give him a free frame. But this guy got this free frame. Vehicle he paid $4 grand for because he lives in Wisconsin. It was a Wisconsin vehicle. And the owner just informed me they're still doing it. When he went to the dealer, he saw piles of new frames sitting outside. So, if you live in a northern climate, you get one of these cheap with a rotten frame, hey, buy it and take it to Toyota. Get a new frame put on that thing. You can see this isn't some patched up piece of junk. It is a brand new frame. So let's check this truck out. It's a Tundra. Now, it's an older Tundra. It's got a V6. Now, there's nothing wrong with a V6 if you want a general truck. Of course, the Toyota V6 is a very dependable engine. It's a 3400 4-cam. These things can run forever. Now, yeah, it's got a timing belt instead of a timing chain, but really, the 3400 4-cam is not an interference engine. So if the timing belt breaks, it isn't going to hurt anything. And if you think about it, the new Tundras, they're only coming with V6 engines. Now they're a completely different engine. They got timing chains. They're twin turbo. They make this old technology look like something from the dinosaur ages. But on behalf of this, the dinosaurs lasted hundreds of millions of years. These engines can last a long time. All that high-tech technology, what's going to happen in the future, they're certainly not going to be as easy to fix as these. If something goes wrong with this, they're very simple to fix. The newer ones, you're getting to another level of technology. Of course, all the pros want a V8 and a Tundra. But you can see, it's made for a V8 with a 6. There's all kinds of working room. And really, for the purposes of this vehicle, this engine's fine. And as you can see inside, they were sleeping in it on the way from Green Bay. Hey, there's an awful lot of room in here. As a matter of fact, they spent a night in a Walmart parking lot when they're coming here from Green Bay. Comfy in there, there's plenty of room. You're safe from the elements. Where can you get a camper for $4,000, a free frame that costs you nothing? You got one heck of a deal on this vehicle. Now, as we look underneath, it's conventional. It's just rear-wheel drive. The fronts are just spinning, and the differential way back there, that's what drives the truck, with only 80-something thousand miles on it. And this is during the coronavirus epidemic too, where the prices have gone sky high. When people need to get rid of something and they need money. Get a used TV, they go for nothing. You sell one, you're gonna get nothing. The vehicle is one of the only ways you're gonna be able to get cash. Take advantage of that situation. There's plenty of people that have lots of vehicles. They're tired of one, they want to sell another. They're looking for something, or maybe they're really cash strapped for some deal. That's when you jump on these things. You don't go to the lots. Like I say, if this was on a lot with a new frame, they would have gone $12,000, $14,000. But look around. These things do exist. This man is proof. In the United States, Green Bay, it's not some other foreign country. Okay, and it's really old. Who cares? It's a Toyota. Plug in the old scan tool, start some diagnosis. The automatic scan. Now, it is an old vehicle, so you can see there's a few codes. We'll start with the cruise control, which who really cares? You expect that thing to last when it's this old. Strangely enough, you can see the cruise control has the same code as the engine and ECT. That's obviously some kind of software. The oxygen sensor doesn't, make the cruise control system work. It's just some kind of a glitch there. So P0037 and P0136. The control circuit, the oxygen sensor heater, and another code for the oxygen sensor. Bank 1, sensor 2. Now, this is a notorious failure. Toyota V6 engines, the oxygen sensor heater circuit burns out. That's to make the oxygen sensor warm up faster, so for the first minute or two of operation, your car won't pollute as much. It's one of these crazy things. This guy lives in Wisconsin in a county that doesn't do emissions, so he doesn't care. So if you have these codes, especially it says the control circuit of the heater is low. If you want to change bank 1, sensor 2, the sensor that's by the catalytic converter, go right ahead. That'll fix your problem. The car won't run any better, but you'll legally be able to get your car inspected. So no one really cares about that. In an old car like this, they don't inspect them. Who cares? And hilariously enough, in this car, you can see the check engine light works. There it is. I have the key turned on, and when we start the car, it doesn't even come back on. Now, technically, it's supposed to come on because it's got that trouble code set. Well, it doesn't, but who really cares? Like, it doesn't need to get inspected. It will run perfectly fine that way. So let's look at the live data to see what shape this engine is in. This is an older vehicle. It doesn't have the insane amount of data that the modern one does, but as you see as I quick scroll through, Still got a whole bunch of data points. It's got 97 of them. The short-term fuel trim, it's adding 2%. Now it's adding only 0.74, hardly anything. It moves up and down a little. You're going to get that with an old vehicle. And the long-term fuel trim it's adding 3%, which means the vehicle's running just ever so slightly lean. Now, it's an old car. Sat around a lot. What the heck? I would run some of that ATS fuel system cleaner through the gas tank. You might find the trims will go almost to zero because the fuel injector is probably a little bit dirty. I mean, it's off a little bit. And I would also run a vacuum test to see if there's any vacuum leaks. We'll go under the hood in a second to see if we can hear anything. But, you know, no big deal on a car this old. You can see the ignition advance is stable, so the timing belt's still in good shape. The trim is almost perfect. 1.00 is perfect. Oh, now it went to 0.99. 1.0, almost perfect for an old vehicle. That's how amazing these Toyotas can be. You can see it's got 0.00 misfires. That's not having any problems. You can see the fuel injectors are staying stable at 2.8 milliseconds. And even though it showed that code for the oxygen sensor heater, you can see the oxygen sensor tests are complete. And even today, check engine light didn't come back on. So the oxygen sensors are working perfectly. You're gonna get little glitches like that in old vehicles. It's just the way it goes. So really, for such an old vehicle, idle's like a dream. One heck of a deal for $4 grand. Now yeah, it had a rotten frame, but he got the frame replaced. As he said in Wisconsin, they got loads of them outside waiting to put on. Now, from what he told me, they said they only do it in northern states. So if you're in a northern state, you can find one of these rusted ones. Not a bad deal at all. Like a phenomenal deal. He could sell it and make money if he wanted, but he likes the truck. Now, breaking news flash. I just talked to the owner and he said, well, I actually changed the oxygen sensor, but my machine doesn't clear codes. So I'm going to clear the codes for him now. And that clears up, gee, why isn't the check engine light on, but it's got this code? It's because the code wasn't erased. Theoretically, they will erase themselves as you drive, but it doesn't always work. So there's a good tip. Whenever you got codes and you fix something, erase it like this before you start driving it around. So we just got to clear trouble codes, and we cleared the trouble codes. It erased them. Okay. There are no codes. We fixed that problem. And what does that show us? That shows us people should always communicate. Mechanics, customers should always communicate. Tell everything you know, everything you've done. Don't hide anything. I sometimes spend days working on cars, only to find out that the customer was so embarrassed to how they ruined their car that they weren't going to tell me the truth. And I said, look, I'm not putting a judgment on you. I want to fix your car, not wasting time. So tell me exactly everything that happened. And then if they say, well, we were on the highway and we ran over something, then immediately I look there and I find the problem. So don't hide things from your mechanic. And if you have a mechanic you have to hide things from, here's my advice. Find another mechanic, guy like me, who doesn't judge you, just wants to fix your car as fast and as cheaply as possible. You notice it's idle smooth as can be. And yeah, it's a pickup truck. It's nice and high up in the air. Step on the gas. That 6 has got enough power. And as old as it is, hey, still handles pretty good on the curves. It's a pickup truck. It's not a race car. It's a rear-wheel drive pickup truck. But it is a Toyota Tundra. And even though it's only got the V6 engine, it's still extremely reliable. It will get slightly better gas mileage than the 8s. The 8s are absolute gas hogs. So, if you want a pickup truck to knock around, you can find one like this with the 6. Don't poo-poo the 6-cylinder engine. Yeah, it doesn't have the insane hauling ability of the 8 for sure, but it's still a very dependable truck. As we take it to drag strip alley and step on the gas, it goes. It's not a race truck, but hey, listen to the engine. The shifts were still very smooth. All in all, an insane deal for $4,000. Right now, with the low mileage that it's got on it, this thing might go another 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 miles. So kudos to Toyota for putting a free frame on. What a deal. And if you can find a deal like this on a Toyota Tundra with that low mileage, let me tell you, snap it up. Even if you don't want a pickup truck, you can make a lot of money selling it on to somebody else. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.